Listen. Music. One of the few things in life possibly more magical than magic itself. Entrancing, uplifting, energetic, relaxing, hypnotic. Music can be so many different things to so many different people. Take today's wanderer for example, Garlic. He loves heavy metal and powerful guitar licks. So much so, in fact, that he found himself in a bit of trouble whilst on a quest for the thrashing cudgel of eternity. Quite peculiar. Let's find out what happened. So, Garlic, in case you were wondering, is a goblin. And he's on a quest. A quest for what he says is one of the most badass weapons of all time. The thrashing cudgel of eternity. A club of sorts that supposedly hums with the electric energy of rolling thunder skies, which lets loose a mighty guitar-shredding solo every time an enemy is smashed to the ground by this mythical shillelagh. And as someone who thinks himself one of the biggest heavy metal fans of all time, he couldn't pass up the opportunity to seek out such a fantastical artifact. Then hopefully become a legend himself. Well, we join our little friend standing on a precipice of the Dragon's Anvil mountain range, overlooking the phantasm forest and staring down at a gargantuan nest made of trees, littered with massive feathers and all manner of sun-bleached bones. This is a roc's nest. What is a rock, you ask? Imagine a hawk, or a vulture. Now, imagine this bird large enough to grab you by the torso and fly away with you as if you were nothing more than a mushroom to be plucked from the grass. They are huge, giving our staunch little goblin a bit of trepidation for the first time on this adventure. Having passed through the sunken mire with nary a scratch where mosquitoes would feast upon hapless travelers trapped in the bog. Then braving the open seas as a fresh-faced crewman aboard the hereafter pirate corsair, before jumping ship during a would-be naval battle to swim ashore and arrive at the woodland edge of the very same phantasm forest, where Garlic nearly lost his sanity to the shrieking banshees, ghostly wails, and sorrowful spirits who call that dark place home. But his determination aided in his way through, and up the mountain to the very edge that he's standing on now, looking down at that nest. Because within this aviary homestead is none other but the thrashing cudgel of eternity, with its previous owner's skeletal grasp still wrapped tightly around the handle. Looking to and fro without a sign of the great bird, Garlic took a deep breath, then leapt down and landed into a dust-clearing squat, crunching one of the unfortunate skulls underfoot. A distant screeching squawk sounded from the skies. He shuddered as he glanced upwards, then back at the thrashing cudgel of eternity. Another squawk. Closer. With a sudden urgency, he ran for the thrashing cudgel of eternity. His sweaty palms tore it from the bony, amputated appendage, and he raised it to the heavens in a triumphant pose. A thunderclap rang out across the peaks. And suddenly, the enraged rock abruptly appeared from the gathering clouds and descended upon its thief. Garlic stood defiantly poised for battle with his newfound power. "Bring it on," he muttered. But there is one thing both of these combatants failed to acknowledge. Garlic is a goblin, and a short one at that, standing at barely 3 feet tall. So not only did the massive raptor have trouble seeing and understanding what it was looking at, our hero's attempts at attacking barely registered. Valiant though they may be, they were pretty badass though, as with every smack upon the Goliath's taloned foot a shot of electricity sparked forth, followed by an amazing riff ringing from the heavens. Annoyed, But no longer angered, the rock merely pinched the tiny goblin by his trousers and carried him away. All the while, Garlic was yelling obscenities while bashing at the leathery foot to no avail. About half a day's journey from the Dragon's Anvil Peak, Garlic had all but given up when the mammoth-sized bird began circling. Looking down from his insistent striking, he realized the landscape had all been replaced by rolling green hills of wave-like wild grass flowing with the wind. He would have thought it relaxing if it weren't for the encircling motion causing an upheaval from his stomach. The dizzying movement would eventually subside as the land was slowly growing up to meet them, and Garlic could make out a fairly large boulder with what appeared to be a campsite full of activity. Puzzled by such a random place in the middle of nowhere, it took no time at all before he was plopped down. Dusting himself off, he stood up to take a quizzical look around, before greeted by none other than me, Benny. With a wink and nod, the mighty rock took a few heaving beats of its great wings, extinguishing all of our fires in the process, and took off into the sun-setting sky. And ever since then, Garlic has made it his priority to tell everyone at the Gathering Stone of his harrowing journey for the thrashing cudgel of eternity, in hopes of finding a bard who would be willing to write a ballad in honor of his self-proclaimed odyssey. That's it for this week, folks. I hope you enjoyed this Tale of the Lost. Thanks for watching, and be sure to come back next week for new characters, stories, and illustrations. Farewell for now.